RATS stands for Research Advocacy Training and Support, and it's a program that was developed by Kate Murphy and Nancy Roach. They were the original RATS, and what that meant was they were the patient voice at the research table. So they provided the collective patient experience and sat on boards and panels and provided their voice to the research process. They realized that they couldn't be the only ones sitting at the research table, so they developed this program.
There's a lot of research that's being done in science and that don't really put the patient at the center of it. They're looking at the goals of the study, and so there needs to be that voice of the patient. And the voice of the patient is so critically important in the research process because they're the ones who benefit from it and they're the ones who are impacted by it.
The RATS program really allows research advocates, patient advocates to engage with the research community so the patient perspective is shared in a really authentic, meaningful way. It also allows the research community and the general population to actually be exposed to each other in a much more transparent way to ensure that the type of research is developed is consistent with the needs of the patient and really the CRC community at large.
I want to be able to help bridge the two sides so that we can work together to develop better understanding and potentially a cure.
When you get a diagnosis, it comes at you like a tidal wave. And our job as part of the RATS program, we are the mentors to try to pick and choose what are the best pathways through that wave to get people onto safe ground. And that's really our best value, I think, because we've been through it, we've been trained, and there's just so much information. Think of us as filters and also as mentors, but we don't claim to be older and wiser all the time.
Yes, we look at the scientific merit of different research programs that we'd like to institute, different trials we'd like to conduct. We look at the questions, the scientific questions we want to answer. But ultimately, why do we do any of this? We do it for our patients. And so the RATS program, this Research Advocacy Training Program, is incredible in that it brings patients to the table.
I think they're important advocates for helping patients maybe enroll in clinical trials, know a little bit more about clinical trials, help them with pain and symptom management, side effects associated with treatment, advocating for them, providing an extra layer of support.
If I'm improving outcomes with what I can do, which is to research and identify possible clinical trials, then it's worth it.
These folks are willing to get in the trenches with us that do research and say, you know what, I'm going to sit on that regulatory approval board and make sure that this study is safe for patients and that it will answer the questions that are needed. I'm willing to be a study coordinator and help kind of actually execute research. To me, it's just inspiring to see the commitment that they're showing.
There are people fighting this disease now, and whether the study gives them an extra 6 weeks or an extra 6 months, that's highly impactful. And making sure that the researchers understand how the patients are impacted by the work they're doing and the expediency that's required to get their research in play, that's the role that we play.
Fight CRC trains our research advocates through a curriculum that we've developed, which includes portals, learning labs, and then academies such as this. And we prep them with the basic science from bench to bedside, prevention to palliative care, and that really equips them with the knowledge that they need to then go sit on these panels and serve with IRBs, Department of Defense review boards, so it really equips them with that knowledge to then go out and provide that collective patient voice.
So far the training has been absolutely wonderful. I mean, it has been just a very enriching and rewarding experience.
I expected to be drinking from a fire hose, and I really appreciate how Fight CRC has put together the content in such a way that it's really bite-sized chunks that helps us try to understand and learn and build on that through the next module so that at least we're developing a vocabulary and a context to go and introduce ourselves as research advocates that are really starting a journey that's going to be a 5 to 10 year process.
Much like the medical community, doctors, nurses, anyone within the healthcare field, it is a lifelong engagement, it's lifelong learning, and research advocates actually have that sort of orientation as well and have to be really committed to the process of understanding the research perspective as understanding that this is something that will continue to evolve, and they also need to evolve in that process as well.
Research advocacy is incredibly important because research is really the key to ultimately curing colorectal cancer, which is what Fight CRC's mission is. And while there's incredibly important work that we do in terms of policy or patient support, navigation, research is the way we get to the root of the problem, ultimately cure the disease, and my dream is to put ourselves out of business. If Fight Colorectal Cancer no longer needs to exist, I'll be the happiest person in the world.
As people realize the critical role that research advocates can play, it will just really increase the opportunities for them to get more and more involved. I would strongly encourage them to think about how they can affect not just their family members, not just their friends, but the research community. We can benefit, the entire community can benefit from their work.